All right, so welcome back to another video. As always, drop a like, subscribe, leave a comment. I want to say one thing. Don't mind my hair looking all crazy. I decided to grow my hair out. That's for another story. But now that the first round is up and we've seen that KD actually is a human being, because like for most of what we know, KD was one of the best players of all time. He's unlike any other player we've ever seen. So the fact that the Boston Celtics were able to lock him up goes to show you that KD really is human. But for KD playing bad, that's not more so on KD. I think that's just more so of how well the Boston Celtics defensive team, like defensively, they are as a team. So I'm not really putting that on KD. I'm just saying the Boston Celtics, one of the best defensive teams in the league, and we know that. But yeah, we've been coming here to check it out and just see how exactly that they did that, because this was by far one of the KD's worst playoffs games we've ever, well, playoff series we've ever seen. So let's find out how the Boston Celtics did that. All right, as always, the video link is always in the description. Shout out to Thinking Basketball. Y'all know this is one of my favorite channels to watch, just NBA content. So yeah, shout out to them for always making dope videos.
In the first two games of the Celtics Net series, Boston has
It
put
was
Kevin
hounding
Durant in a
KD, man.
straitjacket with an incredible defensive display, holding him to just 32% shooting from the floor while forcing 12 turnovers in an Alcatraz-level lockdown.
That's a crazy block.
Boston has looked like an historically good defense since
Yeah.
the new.
Shout out Ime Udoka, because let's not forget, when they were playing trash at the beginning of the season, they wanted to fire this man. Now look at him. This man got this team running like oil in a nice new Mercedes Benz or something. That's like shout out Ime, man.
New year. And last month we discussed their incredible length, switchability, and lockstep scheme, and they've taken those principles and focused them squarely on Durant. It starts away from the ball, making it difficult for KD to get to his sweet spots and denying him the ball within his
like they were really
range.
just making like.
Here's a play from their game in March where Boston
Everybody beat us
switches
but
and
KD.
Durant ends up with a post up in his comfort zone with an easy jab step and score. With Tatum as the primary defender, there's no switch, and then Jason denies any foul line area catch.
That's
A few
good
trips
defense.
later, they try to free Durant with a cross screen, and Boston switches, and KD runs into Grant Williams. Then Al Horford gets in his way to give him no space while ignoring Andre Drummond.
Nah, no
Then
way they
Grant
were running
flips
like
the
that.
post, and Durant finally gets it in a nice spot, but is ripped by Williams, and that leads to a run out and a nice smart pass for easy offense. A minute later, you can see Grant completely face guarding Durant, and Horford slides down to make any cuts harder. KD says forget it and tells Drummond to go screen, and that at least gives Kyrie a slight edge in the ball screen action and leads to free throws. Even with Tatum on the bench, Williams tries to impede the cut, then Jaylen Brown is waiting, and again, Horford tries to take away.
I forgot who said it, but one of the best defensive schemes in the league to have this. Just switch everything. Like it don't matter if you're a good defender or not. Just switch everything. Just stop the person from getting to their spot, and that's exactly what they did with KD. They was not letting this man touch any spot on the floor.
Durant's space, and like a broken record, Kyrie falls back on pick and roll, and this time Smart recovers well, and it's a tough jumper. Boston's game plan is to reroute Durant on his movement and not let him walk to where he wants.
Yep.
And the Celtics can switch almost any defender when needed, so Smart sits on his front leg to squeeze him out here, and Horford can then stay with Kyrie on the ball, with Smart bothering him because Durant can't space to the corner with Bruce Brown standing there, and that's just more low percentage offense. Some of this is a lack of agility from Durant on these cuts. He's top locked again, Horford slides next to the screen, and KD runs right into him instead of going around. Then Williams recovers instantly, and Durant just blasts through him instead of countering. And all of this is just to set a screen.
Bro,
and then finally, Kevin catches it 20 feet away with 7 on the shot clock, only for Brown to slide into his driving gap, and the play ends with a difficult shot and questionable foul. Heck, the Celtics don't.
Credit. Okay, so I'm gonna break it down just real quick. Yes, the Celtics played amazing defense, but credit the team around Kevin Durant was also, they didn't play too well. Kyrie didn't play too well. and then they was falling back on Bruce Brown, who credit was playing good for the past like month and a half or two, but he was shooting like 40% from the 3-point line. But Bruce Brown's 40% is like, we'll let you shoot that because we're not confident. So credit the team did play trash, but they were locking Kevin Durant up. They was locking him up
easy, with Smart in position to deny. Then he jams the handoff and harasses Durant 30 feet away into a sloppy pass. Smart, Tatum, Brown, and Grant Williams are all much stronger than Durant, and while leaning into his movement like this will be a foul sometimes, it's just hard for KD to keep his balance and comfortably move around these defenders.
Yeah, they weren't
Williams
playing
is
with KD.
built like a brick wall and just holds his ground here, and you see Durant try to push him off, so he takes another step out and Grant moves in on him, and the pass is an adventure because KD's off balance. When he finally catches it, the Celtics swarm with Brown pulled over,
they
with
closed
Smart
that
waiting
middle
in the lane,
quick.
and that is yet another turnover. So even when he does catch the ball in these spots, a Boston defender is slid over, making life uncomfortable. Another issue for Durant is that he just isn't quick enough to take any of these defenders. Daniel Tice denies him well. Again, Brown sags way off Kyrie, and he can't turn the corner and is swarmed on a 12-foot pull-up, and there are always bodies behind him in the paint because of Brooklyn's non-shooters. This actually reminds me of what KD faced in the 2016 Western Conference Finals, with Golden State cheating over into Durant's driving lanes and clogging the paint because the Thunder lack shooters to space the floor. In
That's actually a
Game
good
1,
shot, though.
Durant was able to get his best shots in transition. Brown and Horford forget about him here, and on a run out like this, he can waltz to a sweet spot without a contest.
You'll pull up.
But in Game 2, they made sure to pick him up high. And
You gotta
Smart
stop all
adds
that.
a second body because they don't really care about Bruce Brown as a shooter. Brown
That's
took
just what I
advantage
said.
of that early in Game 2 by scoring 12 points and knocking down a few corner jumpers.
Falling back on Bruce Brown is something you will live with.
What the Celtics are avoiding is Brown wide open on the short roll with an easy target to hit. So the Celtics don't outright trap Durant ball screens, even as they're showing him a second defender. Tatum comes back to briefly double team, then Tice recovers to the paint, and he inadvertently lets Brown screen freely for Durant, but that shot is a misfire. Remember, Boston just switches most of these screens without paying any tax. Even when
having
Horford is
switchability is
crossed
probably
up here,
the best thing to
Tatum
have as a
slides
team.
off the corner to cut off KD, and so
cut him
Al
off.
can recover and strip Durant from behind. This time Horford switches, and Tatum lets Brown go, jabs at the ball, and Durant fumbles it under pressure for a giveaway.
Al Horford is actually a
Here's another
very
really quick
decent
double
perimeter
with
defender.
Smart
I'm
on
noticing.
Durant, and Tatum leaving Kyrie to jab at the rock. And
That's a good hand.
Tatum's length has really bothered Durant in this series. There's a second body creeping up to KD, and then Tatum's contest forces
They
a
really was
wobbly
just throwing
pass to the
everybody
corner,
at KD.
giving Grant Williams time to recover and do that. Tatum's defense in general has been exceptional for most of the first two games. On the other end, his passing has been really good too, and he's had highlight reel moments, switched onto a red-hot Irving in Game 1, only to block his step back. I'm not sure that was even one of his three best defensive plays of the series. This one is gorgeous man defense, sliding around a pick, then elevating to tip.
They was
the
not
pass,
playing with KD.
And all these turnovers help boost Boston's efficiency on offense.
Yeah, they was not
The
playing with
Celtics
KD,
scheme
man.
also helps Tatum because even when Durant gets half a step, Smart's eyeing him off the corner. There are three Celtics standing in the paint, so Jason can really bother KD's pull-up. You might be thinking, Durant's release is so high, you can't really bother his shot, but Tatum can outright stuff it. And that one was aided by bodies in the paint and Jalen helping off Kyrie.
The Celtics were not playing with this man. Shout out, like I said, once again, shout out Ime and like whoever's on his team that came up with this defensive scheme. Because they did, that was a nice defensive scheme. Credit the Celtics have been playing like the best team in the league for the past 3 months. But for them to be able to do this, Kevin Durant, man.
But This one's in straight up isolation, and I don't remember anyone ever just stamping Durant's jumper like that.
Yeah,
It
that's usually a
reminded me of the
bucket.
2008 finals when Paul Pierce absolutely smothered Kobe Bryant in isolation, and
Shout out,
that
Kobe.
Celtic defense held Bryant to 49% true shooting with 8 turnovers in the first 2 games of that series. Although that's nothing compared to their first 2 games against a pre-MVP LeBron James, where he committed 17 turnovers on a woeful 32% true shooting.
17.
LeBron
Dang, man.
did pass well in those games, but Durant hasn't punished the Celtics much for tilting the defense toward him. Here, Kevin's attacking off a screen, and per usual, Brown slides up into his shooting space, leaving Seth Curry, of all people,
Yeah, you don't
but
leave
Durant
Seth
takes
over.
a heavily contested jumper.
That's not something you do.
This might be Durant's best season as a passer, although he's more comfortable when he can pause and survey like he does here, exposing the double team with a quick kick out. And sometimes just
Money.
making the basic pass one help away is the way to capitalize on defenders cheating over. In the plays we've already looked at, he's missed a ton of nearby shooters, and more advanced skip passes are even harder to make when you're desperately hunting for shooting space. Even on a play like this, where KD is attacking the goal, a swing to Curry might be better than trying to finish in traffic, because Durant has had
Crazy
trouble
block.
generating just about anything off the drive in this series, thanks to Boston's size and discipline. Crisper off-ball movement could also combat this scheme, but we haven't seen much of that. And the Celtics have executed their game plan to perfection, pushing him off his sweet spots, denying him easy catches, throwing extra defenders in his driving gaps, and fluidly switching from one strong defender to the next. So, after 2 games, Ime Udoka's incredible defense, led by Jason Tatum and Marcus Smart, have subjected Kevin Durant and the Nets to an absolute defensive clinic.
So like I said, yo, we all know stopping Kevin Durant is probably one of the hardest things to ever do in the history of basketball. So the fact that Ime Udoka and was able to come up with this defensive scheme, and JT and Jaylen Brown, just like the fact that the Celtics have switchability was like really the deciding factor that they could really throw the 1 through the 5 at Kevin Durant and he was gonna struggle, which is crazy thing to say, because usually Kevin Durant don't usually struggle, but they put that man in max security prison the way they clamped him up, man. But that's just scary to see how good the Celtics did, man, versus that man Kevin Durant, man. I'm actually impressed. But yeah, if y'all enjoyed that, as always, drop a like, subscribe, leave a comment, and like just let me know how y'all feeling about like what happened. Credit, like, this really doesn't affect anything. I think the Nets weren't even the favorite anymore to win it, but I think KD's gonna bounce back next season because, like I said, it's Kevin Durant. He's literally the greatest scorer we've ever seen. But yeah, just let me know how y'all feeling, and I'm gonna catch you next video. We out of here. Peace.